The hour. Mitch McConnell pledging to protect the president as the Senate braces for an impeachment fight.
Nancy Pelosi's in the clutches of a left-wing mob. The way that impeachment stops is when a Senate majority, with me as majority leader.
But does he have the power to protect the president? Our next guest is a former DOJ official who says absolutely. He joins us next to explain.
And you have seen Vladimir Putin's outdoor adventures. It's a little early for this before, but wait until you see how he's celebrating his birthday this year. Stay tuned.
Venture to impeach the president. All of you know your Constitution. The way that impeachment stops is when a Senate majority, with me as majority leader.
All right, there's Mitch McConnell pledging to protect the president from the escalating impeachment battle.
So what power does he have, and is it possible for the Republican-held Senate to step in? Joining us live is former DOJ official Robert Driscoll. Thanks for joining us this morning. Look, a lot of people at home, you constantly hear the word impeachment, and people are wondering, where is this going to go? Is this even a possibility? And if it goes to the Senate floor, does Mitch McConnell have that power?
Well, he does, Jillian, and thanks for having me. It's really a two-step process. The House has to vote to impeach the president, and if they do that, what the Constitution requires is a trial in the Senate. But the way that trial works is not specifically defined. Impeachment's an inherently political act, and the senators will have to decide whether there's a high crime and misdemeanor and whether or not they want to remove the president from office. The majority leader has a lot of discretion in terms of setting up how that procedure is going to work. And so certainly McConnell is right, Leader McConnell is right when he says that the way it could end is in the Senate with him in charge of the Senate majority.
Let's look at some of these options that you say McConnell has here, and we're going to talk about the first one, which is granting the majority the power to hear live testimony. How is that utilized by Mitch McConnell?
Well, I mean, what you could do, and they did not do this for Clinton. They took kind of the Starr report and then had managers present the case essentially to the Senate. But you could have a full trial kind of situation, interestingly with the Chief Justice presiding, and really have it more like a trial you're used to seeing, on Law and Order or something like that, with witnesses and having questioning in the Senate. Now, obviously, with the Republicans in the majority, they would have more control over the questioning and the witnesses than the minority would, and so that may be something you would consider, although I think that would frankly be more of a circus than he would want if he's in the mood to defend the president.
What about dismissing articles of impeachment? How would that work?
Well, one of the senators could bring forward a motion, and the majority leader could essentially have what would be equivalent of a motion to dismiss in a civil trial, where he could bring the matter of impeachment up to the Senate and say something like, well, assuming what's alleged has happened, we don't think it's an impeachable offense, and we're not going to spend much time on it. The majority leader has been clear that there has to be a trial in the Senate, and he's going to follow his constitutional obligation and his obligation under the rules unless they're changed. But he also said the amount of time that I spend on that, is another matter. And so he could find certain ways to short-circuit the process if that's what he wanted to do. But all of these are political decisions in terms of what he thinks the American public wants and what he thinks would protect his political interests.
Yeah, and the final one, obviously, is go to trial in the Senate, which is what he may very well have to do, and he said he has to take it up. Can I ask one last question? Could Mitch McConnell force, the identity of the whistleblower, they're trying to keep it under wraps. Could he force that person to have to be outed in order to hear from them?
Well, he could. I don't think it'll go that far. I mean, I've read those stories, and the reality is only so long you can keep someone's identity secret, and particularly you're talking about something as serious as impeaching a president. The notion that you're going to do this on secret evidence, taking testimony somewhere off-site, it just doesn't, I don't think, will sit well with the American people, and I think basic notions of due process at some point, that witness will have to be identified. And if they wanted to take steps to, protect them from what, I don't know, but protect them, that's fine. But the notion that person is going to, that anonymous complaints are going to take down a president, I don't think is consistent with any notion of due process.
All right, Robert Driscoll, thank you for joining us for that information.
Thanks for having me.